So, Dr. J, what does it mean to take a sabbatical from work?
Well, sabbatical itself is an old school term and comes out of the academia and actually out of religion, for few others fun things. It literally means taking a break. And it sounds really weird, but we all need a time where we can take a break from work and just step off the gerbil wheel. Okay. Most of us came out of high school, went to college, got a job, and it's just kind of like you've been in it for so long. I'm talking to people in their 40s and 50s where they just been following that path forever. Most of the time, it's not a path they chose, and they've just been going nonstop. Katie, is that you?
I've been going nonstop, but I wouldn't say that it's been that I haven't had points along the way where I've reevaluated because I have had some career changes and different things during that time, but definitely always going.
Yeah. So here's how this works. Part of this is your brain starts doing weird things. So it never has a time to rest. And actually, your brain likes that like energy level. You talk about being an adrenaline junkie. You've been living on work for the longest time. And what happens is your brain doesn't have time to think. It's kind of like I've made some changes, but I've never really thought it through. So a sabbatical is really a chance to go, whew, and then go, what do I want to do? So I've been talking with a lot of people on this, and it's a whole lot easier to do as a couple than as a single. Let's be real. As a single, you'll need to have enough money to cover you for this time of sabbatical, which I usually recommend a 6-month sabbatical. So you need 6 months of expenses and a little bit of emergency fund in order to be able to do this. If you're in a couple and you both have enough income, it's a great way to kind of start towards the Gardner and the Rose approach, which is a separate video. So here's the first 2 months watching Netflix. And I really mean watching Netflix. I mean, by the way, it doesn't have to literally be Netflix. If you're more of a Hulu person, Amazon Prime, I don't care. I want you to just do stupid stuff for 2 months. Now, by the way, here's what usually happens. The first week or 2 or 3 weeks are like getting caught up on like all the house chores that you haven't done in forever. And then the Netflix phase comes in. And really what I'm doing there is trying to get you just to stop working for a little bit of time. Now, for most people, this causes both a physical and emotional response. Like they start freaking out. Katie, would you be one of those that freaked out after 2 months of watching Netflix?
Oh, yeah. Way before 2 months.
That's somewhat intentional. I want you to have that freak out moment of going, okay, I'm not working, now what? And when people do this 2 months, usually what they do is at first they try to fill it with other work. I have to do this. That's the housework, all the stuff. Cool. Then you run out. Then I really want you to do nothing. Now, by the way, if taking long walks, the gardening, getting on a boat, I don't care whatever it means to do nothing for you. Cool. But I literally want you to do nothing like productive. And by the way, in the US, this is where it starts fighting our, work ethic and this, just middle class work ethic or Protestant work ethic, or however you look at it, and saying, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. No, I want you to just stop. Now, after that, you're going to take 2 months to go, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? And by the way, it has nothing to do with age. It's kind of the question of like, what brings me joy? What do I want to do? Now, this is where people get a little stuck because they're like, well, but I don't know what I want to do. I have a degree in this. And I go, yeah, that's nice. What do you really want to do? And by the way, you should, when I dive in with this with people, usually where they end up is something completely different than where they started. Heard a lot of florist shops, cupcake shops. They want to run their own business. They want to work for a small business. They're like, I've worked in corporate forever. I want to stop doing that. I was a lawyer and doctor. Don't want to do that. Like, okay, cool. And this is where people like go, wait, do all the years I've done before like not count? No, they count. But here's the thing. There's more years ahead of you. Like, do you really want to be miserable for those rest of those years?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've done this kind of readjusting, so I'm a big fan of that. I think that, like you said, it's so rare that you find someone who just goes into something and sticks with it forever. So, totally on board with this.
All right. So now, let's say you're having trouble figuring out this. What do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going to give you 3 questions. They're actually from Kinder's Life Questions, George Kinder. And what I want you to do is Journal these answers, pause after each question, and we'll get to the third. So let me give you the first question. The first question is, imagine you are financially secure, that you have enough money to take care of your needs now and in the future. How would you live your life? Would you change anything? Let yourself go. Don't hold back any dreams. Describe a life that is completely and richly yours. So you pause, journal out. Next question. This one does not assume you have all the money in the world. Now imagine that you visit your doctor who tells you only have 5 to 10 years to live. You won't ever feel sick, but you will have no notice of the moment of your death. What will you do in the time remaining? Will you change your life, and how will you do it? Journal that before we go to the next one. Third question. Finally, imagine that your doctor shocks you with the news that you only have 24 hours to live. Notice what feelings arise as you confront your very real mortality. Ask yourself, what'd you miss? What'd you not get to be? What'd you not get to do? Now, those 3 questions done, most people go, woof, that's some tough things to think about. My 4th question, or kind of follow-up question I add in, is always going, okay, in light of those 3 questions, what should you be doing differently now? Pause and think about that, because here's what you're going to find is you need to be making changes now so you don't have regrets in the future. And I hate the word regrets, but it's kind of this question of, well, what did I really want to be? What did I really want to do? What did I want my life to look like? What do I want my impact? Whew, big stuff. But that's why you're taking a sabbatical, to figure this stuff out. Now, with that information, once you finish that, and that's kind of that second month, so now we've done 2 months of Netflix, 2 months of figuring out what I want to be. Third set of 2 months is to do some networking lunches, virtual lunches with people who are doing the job you want to do. I want you to ask them 3 questions. First one is, how did they get there? Second one, would they do it again? And third question, what advice would they give you? Now, here's the thing. When you ask people these questions, be prepared for them to say, yeah, I would never do that again. Or I would do it a different way. That is all great information. The other thing it does is it allows you to get to people and say, hey, I want to be in your field. How do I get there? Who knows? They might offer you an internship. And part of the sabbatical is you could do that. Like, I could go shadow their job, do an internship, follow them for a week or 2, and then go, yeah, I don't want to do that. If you want to open a cupcake shop, I want you to go work at a bakery for a month and realize, do I want to get up that early in the morning? Seriously, those are the questions you want to be asking. Really, the point of the sabbatical is to go, all right, I have a good framework. Now, where am I going? Katie, what do you think about that?
I think it sounds really nice. I wish that I'd had this space built into my life at different times. It also sounds really difficult to figure out how to plan for 6 months of this financially, but
yeah, the financial stuff on it, you're going to either have to put the money aside or rely on your spouse if you have one. The separate video on the gardener and the rose, and part of that intent is so that one person can grow. A sabbatical is a chance to grow. In an ideal world, if you're in a couple, I do my sabbatical, I start my new career, I get settled, then you do your sabbatical, start your new career, get settled. And by the way, probably by the time you finish that, the other person does another sabbatical. And just kind of it gets into that. People are talking about now this great resignation, blah, blah, blah. I think people are just trying to find jobs that have meaning, that's more than just money. And that's hard. And when you're child free, you really aren't forced to stay at that job. You could pick up and be like, no, I'm going to move to Portugal and try something different. It works.